Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, October the 24th, 2023. And I was reading this article last night, and I thought it was pretty interesting, despite the fact that Dr. Michael Brown also touched on this yesterday in his live stream. And let me just say for the record, I am not trying to do any continuing to do any content that is going to be geared at Dr. Michael Brown. That is not my intention. I'm not watching all of his stuff every day. But I think that since I did my live stream Friday and I've gotten some reaction, some positive, some negative reaction about the live stream that I did concerning some of the things that Dr. Michael Brown has said about how Christians should be supporting Israel. If you guys want to know where I stand and you haven't seen the live stream, I implore you guys to go and watch it to get the full context of it, so people just don't have any, I guess you would just say, any misconceptions or, anything that they may want to accuse me of, but they really have not heard the whole side of the story. Because, like for instance, my live stream was being played on Berean TV, and there were some people already jumping the gun, saying that, well, he's not covering this, he's not talking about that. But it's just like, well, if you actually watch the live stream, I do cover a lot of people's concerns and issues concerning this topic. So, but, I say all of that to say, the reason why I'm trying to preface this is because as we get ready to read this particular article, now this just popped up on the Christian Post about 18 hours ago, but I've heard about this since Sunday, about this. There was an airstrike that happened from Israel over into the Gaza Strip, where a Christian church was hit. And of course, I heard about this on Sunday. I don't know exactly what day this happened, but this happened. I heard about it 2 days after I did my live stream. And then Dr. Michael Brown went live. And I didn't even watch his full live stream yesterday. I watched some of it. And he kind of talked about it as well. But this seems like it's somewhat of an official report of people from Palestine, Christian Palestinians, who are coming with some scathing accusations with Christians in the West, especially church leaders. And as we get ready to come in, or as you guys come in, I should say, go ahead and hit that like button. And good morning, Jazz. We also got Stevie Rankins up in the house. If you guys see Urban Reformanda in the chat, go ahead and click that link. I don't know if you can do it. If you can go to my channel, but this is my other channel here, Urban Reformanda. You guys go over there, subscribe. I plan on, putting out some more content soon. Hopefully just some shorter videos, short teachings, just my take on certain things as they come up. But, again, before people end up thinking that I'm trying to do these hit pieces on Dr. Michael Brown, not doing it. This is not what I'm trying to do. Right. I'm just bringing out some of these updates as I see fit with this whole Israel Hamas thing. And to be honest, I really don't even want to cover this stuff. I'd rather be covering other things, but it does seem to be affecting us as Christians, as a lot of other things do as well. And as we get into this, you guys go ahead and partake in that poll that I got in the live chat here on YouTube. And I'm asking, are Christians in America too pro-Israel? So far, 60% of you say yes, and 40% of you say no. All right. Now, and I do have the other option there. And if you guys have anything additional that you want to say, if you don't really feel whether you can answer yes or no, just go ahead and drop a comment and say, hey, listen, this is what I feel. And, click that other option. All right, let's get ready to get into this article. And this is from the ChristianPost.com. And this is also a publication that Dr. Brown also writes for as well. He's very, very heavy on the ChristianPost.com. Title of this particular article is Palestinian Christians accuse Western church leaders of complicity in Gaza airstrikes. All right. Palestinian Christian organizations accused Western Christian leaders who voiced their support for Israel after the October 7th Hamas terror attack of being, quote unquote, complicit in, quote, Israel's violence and oppression, end quote, in the days following the deadly blast at a church in Gaza. In response, an American Christian leader accused the organizations of ignoring Hamas's atrocities in southern Israel. An open letter published on change.org criticizes what it calls Western Christian leaders' quote unwavering support to Israel's war against the people of Palestine, end quote, as Israel has conducted airstrikes in Gaza following the attack in southern Israel by Hamas, a terror group that has governed Gaza since 2007. The October 7th attack on Israeli border communities near the border Gaza killed at least 1,400 civilians and over 30 Americans. And once again, I covered this Friday on my live stream. So if anyone wants to hear my take on what I thought about the whole situation with Gaza and this whole war, primarily Dr. Brown's take on it, because he did a live stream last week, which I thought was problematic, and I actually did, kind of discuss what he talked about in this live stream and try to clear some things up. So if you guys are interested in that, you guys go and watch that live stream, because this kind of ties into this article that we're reading now. So I'm not really going to give too much of my opinion on this particular live stream, because I don't want this to go too long, and I don't want to repeat stuff that I've already said in the previous live stream. Israel maintains that it's targeting Hamas's infrastructure in its airstrikes. However, Hamas-run Palestinian health authorities said Sunday that the airstrikes have killed more than 5,000 people and injured over 14,000. Israel admitted last week that an airstrike intended for Hamas command center caused damage to the compound of the Greek Orthodox Church of St. Porphyros, the oldest church in Gaza. The compound was said to be sheltering hundreds of people. The blast killed at least 18 people and led the Orthodox Patriarch of Jerusalem to accuse Israel of a quote-unquote war crime. And one of the things that I do find interesting about this is that one thing that Dr. Michael Brown has said, and I've heard this too from other people, that what Hamas does is that they'll set up military operations in places such as hospitals, schools, next to churches, things of that sort. So therefore, when they attack Israel, and then when Israel attacks back, to knock down these particular military sites or military operations, a church or a school or something ends up getting hit, and then now the propaganda goes out that Israel is targeting churches and schools and stuff like that, which I agree, which is really messed up. All right. So, we can't play dumb and say, well, it seems like that Israel is just targeting civilians. It's just like, no, let's be real. It's not like they're targeting some of these places that are shooting these missiles off in um, uh, what do you call it, military bases and stuff that they have way out in the field, like away from civilization. So it's like they're putting a lot of their military operations right there in places that is amongst the civilians. Okay. Grace and peace, lyrically outspoken. Grace and peace. And then also I want to ask a question too, because this happened to a Greek Orthodox church. All right. Because now we have to ask the question, do people consider them folks Christians or not? Or do they have a different gospel and a different Jesus? And should us as Christians should even be concerned with a Greek Orthodox church that is in Gaza? So it's a lot of questions that have to be asked, right? The compound was said to be sheltering hundreds of people. The blast killed at least 18 people and led the Orthodox. Oh, I'm sorry, I already read that part. Quote, let me scroll this down a little bit. Quote, we at the undersigned Palestinian church, Christian institutions and grassroots movements grieve and lament renewed cycle of violence in our land. As we are about to publish this open letter, some of us lost dear friends and family members in the atrocious Israeli bombardment of innocent civilians on October 19, 2023. Christians included, who were taking refuge in the historical Greek Orthodox Church of St. Porphyrius in Gaza, the letter reads. Now, again, grace and peace, Brother Roger Sherman. I don't think that Israel is intentionally targeting civilians. Now, with Hamas, yes, I believe that they have intentionally targeted civilians and people who are non-combatant in Israel, right? Because I think when they launched that missile and they hit those people in Israel, I don't think that they were targeting for a military based operation. They wasn't firing at a military base or anything like that. They just fired, and I think that when all of the whenever they do fire these missiles and stuff into Israel, they're just firing, hoping that they just hit anyone. They don't care if they're military or not. So I believe that comes more from Hamas's side than from Israel's side. Just to be fair. All right. So that's what kind of makes me question what is the intention behind this letter that is going out by this Greek Orthodox church that is in Palestine. And could this be propaganda? Could this be propaganda? All right, let's continue to read. Quote, words fail to express our shock and horror with regard to the ongoing war in our land. We deeply mourn the death and suffering of all people because it is our firm conviction that all humans are made in God's image. We are also profoundly troubled when the name of God is invoked to promote violence and religious national ideologies, end quote. And that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to read right there. This is why I did my video confronting some of the things that Michael Brown had said last week, or Dr. Michael Brown, what he said last week in his live stream. Because it becomes sad. It's like Brother Roger is saying. It's sad from all angles. But when you invoke God and you say God is for a certain particular people because of their nationality, and so therefore standing with this particular group of people, in this sense, Israel, If you stand with Israel, you're standing with God. When things like this happen, are we saying that it is okay when Israel launches a missile and kills civilians who may be Christian, you know, or or what, you know? But one thing I will say, in fairness, Dr. Michael Brown did say on his live stream yesterday that he does not believe that Jewish blood is more important than Palestinian blood. Now, he has been fair with that, and I totally agree with him. I don't think any person's blood is more valuable than another. But however, we can see that when you try to hold to a certain type of ethnic superiority, or this idea that God has a chosen people, that there are, you got human beings, but then you got some other human beings that's just a little bit higher than everybody else because God specifically chose those people. When you're pushing those type of ideologies, whenever those people do something bad, then it's almost as if you're forced to try to come up with some type of damage control strategy, so therefore you don't look bad and you don't lose the people who've been supporting you, who may not be a part of your ethnic group. So now you got to try to appease these supporters, and then you got to try to make sure that the heat really isn't on you too much when the group of people that you support are doing something to someone else. Grace and peace, JT Mack, and grace and peace, and good morning to Edith Sally. She says they didn't get the memo. Love God, love your neighbor. Vengeance is mine. Do not kill. Forgive one another. Do not hold grudges. On and on. We are warned. Have a blessed day. Actually, do not murder is in the Bible. Not do not kill. I know I'm gonna get in trouble for that one. The signatories seek to, quote, challenge Western theologians and church leaders who have voiced uncritical support for Israel and to call them to repent and change, end quotes. Quote, sadly, the actions and double standards of some Christian leaders have gravely hurt their Christian witness and has severely distorted their moral judgment regarding the situation in our land. The letter states, wow, I want y'all to see that. They said that it hurt their Christian witness. I don't know. I mean, I wonder, is that possible? Is it possible that by supporting Israel in this particular time, does it hurt the Christian witness? And that's one of the things that I didn't specifically bring out in my live stream, but that's one of the things that we have to think about as well. You know, it is supporting Israel and just saying that we're just going to support Israel unconditionally. Does that kill the Christian witness when things happen? Right? Jazz M says, where's the line? A lot of Christians are hypocrites when it comes to Israel. Hey, listen. I'm just going to keep it moving on that. Less than 1,000 Christians live in Gaza. I truly doubt this is true. And again, let me just continue to read this, because I can go off into a whole rabbit hole and not even get through this whole article. All right. But I'm gonna give my little spiel at the end. The signatories includes Carios, Palestine, Christ at the Checkpoint, Bethlehem Bible College, the East Jerusalem YMCA, the Arab Orthodox Society of Jerusalem, the YMCA of Palestine, the Sabeel Ecumenical Center for Liberation Theology, and the Department of Service to Palestine Refugees in the Middle East, Council of Churches, amongst others. I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see what this Sabile Ecumenical Center for Liberation Theology is about. Y'all know that liberation theology thing that has become a buzzword since the whole what do you call it? Um, since that whole social justice thing. All right. Quote, we come alongside fellow Christians in condemning all attacks on civilians, especially defenseless families and children. Yet, we are disturbed by the silence of many church leaders and theologians when it is Palestinian civilians who are killed, the letter states. We are also horrified by the refusal of some Western Christians to condemn the ongoing Israeli occupation of Palestine, and in some instances, their justification of support for their occupation. Further, we are appalled by how some Christians have legitimized Israel's ongoing discriminate attacks on Gaza, end quote. And that's one of the things that I've been hearing this for a couple of years about how Christians are pretty much silent. These same Christians who are supporting Israel, how they're pretty silent on the occupation of Palestine. Okay. I did a video. I don't know. I may have to read it again before I repost it in the community section, but I talked about this. Oh man, this had to be about 6 years ago. You know, I was talking about the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians because I forgot what happened. But they had like a little skirmish or whatever, and I covered this like years ago. I don't know. I'm gonna watch that video again before I upload it because I don't know. You know, I'm gonna make sure that I'm right and exact. You know, rebuke and reprove is up in the house. Edith says, last comment. Question for another day. Does war bring those countries money? I think wars bring a lot of people money. I really do. I mean, hence Ukraine, but that's another topic for another discussion. Let's continue. The letter also accused some Christian theologians and leaders of ignoring the broader context and quote unquote root causes of the conflict, citing Israel's quote unquote systemic oppression of Palestinians over the past 75 years and the quote unquote ongoing ethnic cleansing and quote unquote military occupation. Those are some strong words right there. They said that there's some ethnic cleansing and military occupation going on in Palestine. I said, so y'all Christians over there in the West, y'all ain't saying nothing about that. And what they're kind of doing is that they're trying to insinuate a little bit. They're trying to insinuate that the reason why this conflict is going on is because no one has said anything. This pot has been boiling over for some time. But, you know, and this is one of the reasons why I don't really get into all of this political stuff when it comes to this whole Israel Hamas thing, because I don't really know all the details. I'm gonna be honest. I really don't know all of the details. I haven't really studied this. I've heard and seen stuff, wicked stuff on both sides. That's why I'm not trying to dive head first into this. I know that people are putting up video after video, post after post about this whole thing, stand with this person, stand with that person, look at what such and such them did. I try to do none of that. I just try to bring out I'm just trying to bring out the information that comes across my desk. Referring to the quote Western Christian legacy of just war theory, end quote, and quote unquote Zionist theologies, the letter suggested that this quote unquote double standard might reflect a colonial discourse that has historically justified atrocities in various parts of the world. Colonialism. The letter from the Palestinian Christian organizations comes days after dozens of American Christian and Jewish leaders signed a letter published in the Jerusalem Post last Wednesday urging President Joe Biden to not pressure Israel into a quote-unquote premature ceasefire. Former U.S. Ambassador to Israel David Friedman headed the letter. They said don't tell us to have a ceasefire. We don't want to have a ceasefire. We want to keep this thing rolling. That might be some beef right there. And y'all apologize if my internet is starting to glitch a little bit, because I'm starting to see where here on StreamYard the internet looked like it went weak for a little bit. And plus I was having some problems with it earlier where it was kind of like going in and out. So, y'all bear with me. Quote, Israel must do all that is necessary to destroy Hamas, end quote. The Christian and Jewish leaders contend. Quote, it is not sufficient for Israel to degrade or even defeat this brutal terrorist regime which oppresses its own people. Israel must completely destroy every Hamas terrorist so that this evil is erased from human history. If America pressures Israel into a ceasefire, Israel's enemies will be emboldened and Israel imperiled long into the future, end quote. I'm sorry, Israel imperiled. I'm sorry, imperiled. No, it's imperiled. Reverend Johnny Moore, that sounds like a black man right there. Johnny Moore, Reverend Johnny Moore, president of the Congress of Christian Leaders, a signatory of the letter to Joe Biden, accused Palestinian Christian organizations responsible for the Change.org letter of spreading disinformation and omitting key facts about Hamas. So, and this is what I wanted to point out too, is that we got to be careful. All right. Even if we're looking at the Palestinian Christians, and like I brought up Friday in my live stream, I said, listen, there's Christians who have been killed in this war on both sides, on the Palestinian side as well. But we gotta be careful. We gotta be careful of the propaganda machine. Right? All right. Grace and Peace, LaChat. She says sometimes we want peace at any cost, and some are seeing great costs allowing their enemies to continue unchecked. It's not simple. Yeah, and I agree. And you was one of the ones talking greasy about me on Brain TV, but it's all good. It's all good. I still love you. but no, like I was saying, like we gotta be there's propaganda on both sides. And us as Christians, if we really following Christ, we got to be able to sniff out propaganda. That's why I urge Christians, don't take one side over another. Do not do that. Learn how to weigh these things out. Learn how to condemn people if somebody says something is wrong, and then give credit where if someone is right. Always try to be fair and balanced. In a statement to the Christian Post, Moore noted that the letter doesn't call for Hamas to stop using Palestinians as human shields and spreads quote-unquote disinformation about the hospital blast last week that Hamas initially blamed on Israel. Although the U.S. government states that the hospital blast wasn't caused by Israel, and the Israel Defense Forces (IDF) say the blast was caused by an quote errant rocket fired by the terrorist group in Gaza. End quote. The Palestinians later accused Israel of the quote heinous massacre at Al-Ahli Anglican Baptist Hospital, end quote. So that's another thing that I've heard too. All right. One of the things that I've heard was that this quote unquote missile that was shot by Israel was actually a rocket that was shot by Hamas that ended up hitting its own hospital, and they blamed it on Israel. So again, She says, yeah, LaChat says she was coming at me. She says I was unhinged. She said that day you were on something. Yeah, I was on truth. So y'all better be glad I don't have my little soundboard right now. But I think it's a little bit too early to be popping them sounds off. So maybe that's the reason why the Lord predestined for me to not have that soundboard on me, while I'm here in the morning. JT Max says, how can they possibly completely destroy Hamas without destroying Palestinians? And that was another thing that Dr. Brown was bringing up too on this live stream yesterday. He said, hey, could this war breed more people to support Hamas? Because that's the same thing that happened with ISIS. I was watching documentaries on that, and I don't want to kind of get too, I don't want to get too sidetracked because I still got maybe a couple more lines of this article to read. But what was happening with ISIS was when the United States were attacking them, you had innocent civilians that were being killed. And there was this one guy, they had caught up with this one guy. He was with ISIS, but I think he ended up leaving ISIS or something, or he defected. And I think he ended up in a refugee camp or something anyway. And they were asking him, why did he join ISIS? And he says, well, one of the things that they do is that they use a lot of propaganda. So he says that they'll go and they'll hide out in a certain city or a certain town. And when the United States get wind of that, the United States attacks that city or that town, and a lot of civilians end up being killed. So what ISIS does is that they'll move into those areas once the smoke clears, and all of the people, especially the young boys and the men who've lost everything, they'll start to use propaganda such as, well, now you see who the real enemy is. The real enemy isn't us. The real enemy is the United States. And they'll say, well, hey, we know that you've lost your family. Like this one guy that they was talking to, who I was just mentioning a minute ago, he had lost everyone, all of his kids, his wife, parents, all of that stuff. It was just him. He said, man, when I say I lost everyone, he said, I lost everyone. And he said what ISIS did was that they came in and they were just like, hey, listen, don't worry. We're going to give you food. We're going to give you shelter. You know what I'm saying? We're going to try to help clean this place up. Try to rebuild your home. And they bring all of these people in to start rebuilding these little cities and towns. And the whole time that they're doing that, they're steady pumping you full of propaganda. And then by the time you get so riled up to believe that the United States is the enemy, now they've recruited you. Now all they got to do is put a gun in your hand and you go out there and fight because now you want revenge. You see what I'm saying? So what, Dr. Michael Brown brought up yesterday in his live was that this could end up not wiping out Hamas, just like JT Mack was saying. He was spot on with this. You're not going to really destroy Hamas, because even if you do destroy some Palestinians that may be against Hamas, the ones who are remaining, who may be mourning and grieving, will turn around and join Hamas because now they want to fight to stop the war, to stop the bloodshed and the grieving. So they'll just continue to grow. All right, let me finish this article. According to Moore, the comment about the hospital, quote, sort of says everything that it needs to say about their letter, end quote. Also, the church wasn't targeted and the ancient church is there. But I do wonder why the church leaders didn't facilitate the transfer of those sheltering in Gaza City Church, when for more than a week, the Israelis pleaded with the Gazians to move to a safe zone further south. End quote, Moore told the CP. Quote, regardless, I invite these brothers and my critics to join me in demanding the immediate and unconditional release of all 200 hostages who are citizens of over 40 countries and range in age from 9 months old, to 95 years old. Hamas Hamas needs to set them free, end quote. Moore, a former commissioner of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, outlined horrific acts attributed to Hamas against Jewish civilians on October 7th and pointed out that Hamas has been hiding weapons in hospitals and schools. Reverend Dr. Fares Abraham, the founder and CEO of Levant Ministries in Lake Mary, Florida, a Palestinian American Christian, also issued a statement urging a balanced, what is this thing? I hate when this thing pops up. All right. Urging a balanced response from Christians. He said he ponders what Jesus would do in the current circumstances. He believes Jesus would comfort Israelis affected by the attacks from Hamas and extend the same compassion to Palestinians in Gaza, helping them find safety. Abraham condemned violence from all sides, including actions by Hamas and Israeli military responses. He argued that neither side's actions bring peace or represent the interests of their people. He called on Christians to serve as agents of healing and peace rooted in their biblical teachings. We're supposed to eat at that, because that's exactly what she was saying. And that's what I was saying as well, too. You know, let me see what the chat was saying. I had this comment up, didn't read it. It says Palestinians voted or supported Hamas, right? Know how violent and committed to winning at any cost. They think dying for the cause is just. We're thinking with a different mindset. Remember that. All right, let's read this last paragraph and get up out of here. Quote, there is no doubt that Hamas does not represent the legitimate grievances of the people of Gaza, and they do not represent the genuine aspirations of Palestinians who desire to live in peace, dignity, and freedom. In the same way, the aggressive response of Israel's military against innocent Gazans will never bring peace and stability, he wrote. As followers of Jesus, we cannot allow pain, fear, terror, or even legitimate anger to justify an untenable retaliation and collective punishment against both Palestinians and Israelis. And that is the end of this particular article. And like I said, in my live stream, not in this one, but this is political. This is mostly political, and I think it's a danger when we try to use it as some sort of spiritual thing that's happening. You know, the devil is coming after God's chosen people, et cetera, et cetera. That's what I was railing against with Dr. Michael Brown, and that somehow Christians need to just automatically stand with the people of Israel just because, you know. And I mean, it gets dangerous when you want to give unconditional support for either side, especially if you're calling yourself a Christian. As Christians, we need to be the most fair and balanced people on the planet. We need to call out wrong and evil on both sides. And I know some people, they may have an invested interest in Israel and Palestine. And I think that a lot of times, let's just be honest, it comes from people who have certain eschatological views. So they'll turn around and they'll just hold to Israel, and they'll say, well, hey, you know, I stand with Israel because of their own eschatological views. And it's like, that's wrong. You know, that's not a reason to support Israel or to support Palestine. Again, we're dealing with the hearts of men. And like I brought out Friday, these people, the people in Israel is a very secular state. Let's not forget that. There's only about 25% of the people that are religious, and way less than the 25% of those who are religious identify as Christian. So we have a country over there that is next to nothing that follows Christ as their Lord and Savior. So we got to remember that we just don't stand with those people just because they were mentioned in the Bible. Their name is in the Bible. That country over there, and the Lord has set foot, and he's done many miracles and wonders over there in that land. Because we got to remember, although the Lord was over there and he did many miracles, the people of Israel still rejected him. All right. So we don't hold our allegiance to a group of people. We hold our allegiance to Christ and Christ alone. All right. Well, chat said God punished Israel often. Remember that too. We have to be praying. Amen. Amen. At least she ain't talking greasy this morning now. She ain't talking greasy this morning. But anyway, man, let me get ready to get up out here. I'm already 10 minutes off. I try to keep these lives at 30 minutes, at least 30 minutes or under. But, you know, with these particular topics, man, I mean, you know, you just, sometimes you can go a little bit over, you know. All right, but before we get up out of here, I want y'all to let me know in the chat, right before y'all get up out of here, go ahead and partake in that poll that I got in the live chat on YouTube. And I'm asking, are Christians in America too pro-Israel? So far, 52% of you have said yes, 39% of you have said no, and 9% of you have, you know, some other thoughts. You know, you don't think yes or no in one way. You know, you kind of explained it right here in the comment section. But anyway, guys, I'm getting ready to get up out of here. And thank you guys for joining. And y'all continue to keep the conversation going. You know, continue to keep the conversation going, especially in the comment section. And as y'all get ready to get up out of here, hit that like button. Hit the like button. Share this video if you think that it's edifying. Rate, comment, subscribe, hit that notifications bell. So whenever I do get ready to go live, you guys will be there as soon as I hit that live button. And at the same time, as soon as I upload a video, you guys will be the first ones to see it. And with that, you guys have a blessed day. And I will see you guys next time, Lord willing. Peace.